Welcome to the Recruiter Startup Podcast. I am joined here today by Scott Parsons from Forsyth Barnes. Welcome, Scott. How are you today?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
Who's the best, Messi or Ronaldo?
Everybody asks that question when I sit in this room. I think Ronaldo, just because he's done it in more leagues and he dragged Portugal to the win in the Euros, and Messi's not done it international, but it's very close. I'm a big Messi fan as well.
Who's the other top three in your top five?
Oh, good question. I would have said Hazard before he's absolutely flopped at Real Madrid. Or are we talking all time or current?
In our generation.
Our generation. See, I'd put Gaza up there, but that is more of I've always loved Gaza.
Would you have Gaza ahead of Zidane?
Oh, I'd have Zidane as well. I'd definitely have Zidane. Now you mention him. And then probably the other Ronaldo as well.
The other Ronaldo was good. What about Ronaldinho? Or are you still sore from that goal he scored in the World Cup?
There's too many. Yeah, I am still sore. I guess you wouldn't have Henry for the same reason.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Heartbreaking, hey? All right. So, lots to unpack today. Congratulations on your business. How's it hanging in there in the COVID era?
It's good. It's different. Missing the team a lot by not being around people. I think that's the biggest thing. I think a lot of our guys are struggling with that as well, of people wanting to work from home 6 months ago and now never want to work from home again, and being around the guys. But yeah, it's hanging on in there is, I suppose, the right way to sum it up, like you say.
Can you give us the quick summation of your business? You've been going not for a tremendous amount of time. You've had a lot of growth, which is like really impressive. What size are you? What space are you in?
So we've been going for 4 years and 4 months. We're up to circa 40 people at the minute. So we've grown pretty quickly over that time. It's all been organic as well, so we've not taken on any funding or anything. Main markets that we operate are senior and exec appointments. Perm side, we tend to focus in 3 core markets of software and technology, fintech, and .com and e-tail. And then we also have a sports business where we kind of place senior execs, but in supporting organisations.
Cool. Sounds great. Okay. International markets. You mentioned New York is kind of in your plans. Why New York? What's changed since COVID?
Lots has changed since COVID. So we were bad timing on this. We've been recruiting virtually in New York for about 6 months plus. We were due to open and have physical office, boots on the ground, everything lined up to start New York at the start of Q3 this year. Obviously, that's up in the air at the minute with COVID. We're still cracking on virtually. And the guys actually in the team recruiting for the US markets are finding it easier being at home with the transition of hours of working 5 hours behind than when they were coming into the office 5 hours behind. The why New York, a number of reasons. My favourite city in the world, for one. But more importantly, business reasons. The US market is booming. The fee levels over there are huge. The level of conversations are fantastic. And we've always been entrepreneurial and always invested in our people. We've got one chap in the business who's been with us almost from the start, who manages one of our teams in London. He's always had the ambition to go out and live and work in New York and set up a market out there. So we're backing him to go and do so. And he'll be kind of the Forsyth Barnes representative to go out and build the US for us.
Is he gonna go over by himself?
Initially, yeah. There's potentially a second person likely to go with him, but it's all dependent on visas and all of that type of thing, which is a little bit up in the air at the minute.
Yeah, and so Manhattan, WeWork, is that the plan?
Exactly that. So we're in a WeWork in London. We've already scouted and chosen the office that we want. Got a Broadway address to it as well, so it's nice. It's expensive, but it's nice to get started out there.
I've been in the mall.
Pardon?
I've been in the mall.
Nice. I didn't realise how many there were. I can't remember the exact. There's about 60 WeWorks in Manhattan alone.
So I probably haven't been in the mall, but I spent a couple of days recording this podcast, going around the UK agencies 18 months ago.
Yeah.
And And yeah, it was go to this floor and this wee work. Okay, right, now we're walking 3 blocks, going over to this floor. So going from Faden to Oliver James to GQR to a few others, So it was really, really interesting to see it all out there. Not everybody's scaled as big as you think they have when you get there and you meet and you see it.
Really?
Yeah, and a lot of them have a lot of pain points in growth. And I'm having a lot of conversations with different founders at the moment who are thinking, do you know what, maybe New York isn't the best option to base my company, given the cost and the tax and all of that. So it's a big call. I had James Lafferty on yesterday from Austin Fraser. He talked to me about the journey of launching Austin Fraser in Austin and why they chose that. And I thought that makes a lot of sense. Better tax, lower cost, tech market, and more of a relationship-driven market than New York, which can be more, well, you can do it remotely, so you don't need to get in there and do it. But lots to unpack when you're choosing an international location. Do you see yourself like building out New York or getting a few people in different locations? Has the work from home element of the last month, has it changed any of your viewpoint in your plan moving forward?
Yeah, I think it will change a little bit. In terms of the first question, it would be building out New York and then looking to operate in different cities across the US. I think definitely somewhere on the West Coast, most likely place to be San Fran or LA, and then somewhere central, whether that's north central of Chicago or south central of somewhere in Texas or Austin, somewhere like that.
Yeah,
might work nicely. The work from home thing's weird because I'm a big fan, will always advocate as much working from home in the right type of roles. So our marketing manager, for example, she does 4 days a week from home pre-COVID and comes into the office 1 day a week, and it works perfectly. It's great. With the sales guys, I think there's been more and more of we had a few people that were working 1 day a week from home in the lead up to COVID that were asking for a little bit more and a little bit more. And then obviously COVID's happened, we're all working from home. And the general consensus amongst all the sales guys is that they can't wait to get back in. I think it's the buzz, I think it's the chat, I think it's the inspiration that you get from even just making a coffee and being at the water cooler chat or whatever you want to call it. I think you find a lot of innovation there, and I don't think that you can get that same buzz and energy from working from home personally. Yeah. But then I think I've been more productive during this period. So
yeah, I wonder, like, is it easier as the leader of the business to be more productive than somebody who's used to the system that they've always had? But I also think it's an unfair test. Like, put somebody working from home a few days a week when the market's amazing.
No, great.
And when they can go out for a coffee at their place and maybe do their emails and then come back to the house and then do a power hour, a couple of hours. Then we're in a different environment. We're missing the buzz. We're not just missing the buzz of an office. We're missing the buzz of everything. So,
agree with that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how we're going to see that coming out there. You mentioned to me that you wrote an article recently on jobs of the future.
Yeah.
Can you give me the highlight pitch on that?
Yeah, so we're doing a big campaign around it at the minute. A lot of although our perm markets, we mainly recruit into tech-driven markets. We're not a tech recruiter. We've kind of got specialists in marketing, finance, sales, all across the piece. But on the contract and interim side, most of what we recruit is senior tech roles on a daily rate. So we're looking at what's going to be around tomorrow in terms of the future of work. There's a university in Australia, Deakin University, that compiled a list of research where they've got 100 jobs that don't exist today that will exist tomorrow.
Yeah.
They actually wrote the article in 2019, pre-COVID. Yeah. But my article that I put around it at the minute is, I think this will be an accelerator for that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I think the few comments that I make in the article are, we're fortunate in the UK to have the furlough scheme where people can return to the same jobs with the job retention scheme. But in the US and a lot of other global countries, they don't have that luxury. So I think there's going to be mass unemployment levels. And my personal opinion is about 30 to 50% of those people won't go back into the same roles or same industries that they were in previously, and will have to retrain. So I think that'll be the catalyst and a massive accelerator to us moving to more AI jobs, more jobs of the future.
Yeah. Any examples you can give me?
Of the jobs themselves?
Yeah, of ones that will disappear and ones that will appear.
A few of my favourites. One was an ethics robot programmer.
Okay.
It's a very interesting one. There's all sorts from the kind of tech-driven ones.
An ethics robot programmer. Will the code not be writing itself at that stage?
Potentially, but this is somebody to focus on that everything remains ethical. There's a few other mentions in there as well as kind of tech-driven ones. There's like cricket farmer is in the 100 jobs of the future. If we're all getting a source of protein from different areas. There's roles that involve space of terraform mappers. I think one of them is a new kind of space land. So it's some really interesting stuff, and it was a great article to write.
Where does a 360 recruiter sit in those roles?
There is actually a role that's doesn't replace the recruiter, but it does a lot of the legwork for the recruiter, and then the recruiter to focus more on the relationship side. But that's 100% where I see the market going to.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've done with my own business. I mentioned before this, I'm trying to kind of unpack some of the good stuff we've done as a lifestyle business and trying to, bring it into another area and do what you've done in terms of build a proper company that's outside of one particular revenue stream. But one of the things that we've done is we've unpacked the job of a 360 recruiter and given all that administration, CV delivery, first stage sourcing, coordination, all of that to a virtual assistant team who are a recruitment team who've been with me for a while. And that there's freed me up to, do this stuff and speak to candidates by appointment only, and then just be able to just point the gun and do that. My life is so much better than it was when I was working for Robert Walters, doing meetings for meeting's sake, like just admin, all the stuff that takes, like I'm not an administrator, I just couldn't do it. But
I don't know many good recruiters that are.
Yeah, but I'd happily do these chats all day. Like find really uncover what like a founder's trying to achieve, and then try and work with them. And on the other side, like what does the candidate want as an end goal? How can we work with them over a period of time? But get me to do all the admin in between. I'm getting lost, So that's what we try to unpack. We're trying to take that system and bring it forward. So it's interesting. When do you see the transition being made to a recruiter maybe being a bit more focused on relationship? And does that mean a face-to-face, or does it mean a brand-centric relationship? Or what do you think?
I think that's already happened, personally, in the most part. So we've from the start, we wanted to invest in our technology and be technology-led rather than technology-heavy. Simple things from the very start of a robotic process automation to automatically format CVs. So to put them with our branding, and it even picks up the name of the consultant that puts their personal numbers on it and takes the candidate's mobile number off, etc.
That's good. What do you use for that?
It's a robotic process automation tool. The company's called Intellibot, who we use, but they built it for us on there to set on our CRM, which is pretty good. And lots of processes like that. But I think similar to you, I think if you unpack the role of a 360 recruiter and have a look at where we add value, because a lot of CV sourcing can be and will be done by AI in the future. I think where the recruiter will add the real value is telling a story first, telling a story of why to join a particular organization, telling a story of the candidate's journey and the candidate's experience that I don't think AI will ever be able to bring to life in the same way. But then I also think it's information sharing. Like the role of a recruiter in the last 3 or 4 years, we're involved in things now of one of our clients, we helped them raise funding, for example, because we were working with another PE house that we enabled them to get in touch with. On the sporting side, we had to get involved in a naming rights deal, but nothing to do with people recruitment or anything like that. It's just connecting the right type of people to enable that deal to happen. And neither of those were particular revenue streams for us, but it enables us to have better conversations and then cement those relationships. So I suppose we can offer an even better service exclusively on the other side.
Yeah, you can give away everything outside of influence.
Yeah.
I think that the key is to know what that is and be able to do that. You mentioned something before about one of the ways that you're looking to help clients is through a micro RPO. Can you unpack that for me a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So we set up it as a sister brand. It's called Purpose. Play on words with the three middle letters stand for RPO. So there's a play on the brand on that. But where we see the market, nice. We're not looking to compete with an RSG or an Alexander Mann or any of those type of organisations. Where we really see adding value is partnering with fast growth companies. Yeah. So we were fortunate enough to be named ourselves on the Startups 100 list 2 years in a row. Raheel and I got some recognition on the 35 and the 35 list. And it's partnering with those type of organisations that have got the process of lockdown to be able to scale very quickly, but don't want to be going to 2, 3, 4 different recruiters at a time and see it as a proper talent partnership. Mm-hmm. So for the companies there, we've built them their complete careers website. We've built them a microsite for it. We've gone in and we've done some marketing around the video campaigns to attract new talent. We've looked at SEO and PPC campaigns across Insta, Twitter, Facebook to attract candidates that way as well. And it's all with their branding on. So we kind of take a backseat a little bit on that so that they're showcasing their brand as much as possible whilst they've got the resource of an external recruitment organisation as well. So we kind of sell it as a best of both worlds scenario of you've got somebody who's part of your internal team and knows the business better than an external recruiter ever would. Mm-hmm. But you've also got the benefit of 40 or so external recruiters pushing your name out to the market and highlighting candidates for you.
Do you have a set person who sits as their internal recruiter?
For each account, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so they'll have an account manager who sits in front of them.
Do you act as the vendor then for any other agencies?
Correct.
That do that?
Yeah, correct. Like a traditional RPO, we still have third parties delivering through that.
Are you able to compete with the third parties from your own agency, or do you have to go, that's something different and we just have a recurring piece on that?
Depends on the roles. So the ones that we've had so far, if it's a role that's at the senior end of the market and which we can deliver on ourselves, we don't need to use a third party and we'll deliver on it ourselves. If it's outside of our main core of expertise, or if it's more kind of volume transactional type roles, we partner with third parties that can go out and deliver for that.
Okay, cool. What size do you see the market scale for that being, or do you just see it as an extra added thing that you can offer that's a point of difference?
Huge. I think I'm of the personal opinion that that will outgrow Forsyth Barnes.
What leads you to that? Is that data led?
I think it's clients' intentions. So I think there's more and more need and requirements for proper partnerships and talent partnerships rather than. I personally think that there is a bit of a problem with, especially in the SME markets. I don't think that SME organisations actively enjoy using recruiters. I think they see it as a bit of a needs must to actually fill a role that they can't fill themselves. And a lot of the things that are missed out are the talent attraction piece, are the demonstrating a client's EVP of why somebody should join them, because a lot of them are anonymous adverts that will go out because of competition, 2, 3 contingency recruiters working on at the same time. An internal recruiter putting one advert out on one particular job board or something like that, not really getting the right traction. And there's not proper campaigns around how you can engage with an audience around it. So I personally think that will really take off, both in the UK and the US in particular, but globally in the future.
What's holding it back right now?
Proof of concept. Okay. I think the more and more it becomes normality, I think the more and more it will work.
Maybe up front as well, I suppose.
Yeah, and even ourselves, when we first launched it, the client's initial kind of reactions are great. You've got a great record over the last 4 years in executive search with Forsyth Barnes, but this is brand new. Why should we use you guys for this particular thing? Whereas now we've delivered on 3 different clients for this so far, and that were existing clients that trusted us for the beta program. There's some great case studies now, so it's an easier sell for us to go out and to clients number 4, 5, 6, 7 with a proof of concept, and how we can actually demonstrate we've saved them money as well as increase the talent hiring.
What was the key challenges that were uncovered in the beta projects that you weren't expecting?
Really good question. People's input on the marketing side of things. So things that we've taken out to market for specific roles, a certain client might not agree with. We had one, in fact, that was the absolute dream client who trusted us on absolutely everything, and that was delivered perfectly. Even, you know yourself, when you're attracting a kind of tech-driven candidate compared to attracting a sales director or a marketeer, there's 3 completely different avenues, three completely different campaigns to run, and 3 completely different ways of engagement. So it's about knowing that and taking that out to market. So they were the things that we unearthed, learned about. But there's lots that I learned about as part of that as well, of different PPC campaigns, different words that appeal to certain people, and even different words and themes that appeal to different genders. So one of the clients, very, very big on diversity and wanted to attract as many female candidates as possible. We actually worked with a third-party marketing agency on that created campaigns and colour palettes and different kind of copy for all of those adverts that appealed and got the desired result. So really interesting for us to get out.
You almost answered my next question there. We're recruiters. We're not a marketing company. And at what stage did you look at this and go, "Ooh, actually, there's some bits here that are outside my area of expertise"? Which bits did you go, "Do you know what? Actually, we're not like a branding expert. We're not a PPC expert. There's quite a bit
straight away. It wasn't a case of trying it, failing, and then thinking we need some help on this. It was straight away. We know where our skills are. We know where we can add value, and where we need a little bit of help. The interesting part with that was that it wasn't a recruitment specific marketing agency. So it's a really good collaboration of what works for them in other industries, and then us adding the recruitment standpoint as well of how candidates react to certain pieces of marketing. So it was a really good kind of journey to.
No, it sounds good. And how, when you're pricing that, do you add that on, or do you package it together, or?
We'd scoped out the model first. So we'd already got our costings on kind of how it will work with third-party agencies that we need to engage on. And then kind of packaged it up to the client on that. And we gave the client pretty much an open package of a bit like an a la carte menu of what they'd like and what they wouldn't like for the certain campaigns.
Okay, excellent. Look, sounds great. Sounds like you're covering a lot of stuff that a lot of people are going to be trying to do as well. Have you managed to build a contract book as well in your business?
Yeah, so we are. Our contract book actually overtook our perm for 2019. So we started pure perm in the start in 2016, but our contract book overtook the perm, like I say. So there's a lot of cross-selling now. Every single meeting in the old sense of the world, can't go on meetings anymore at the minute. But we always take a consultant from the contract side and from the perm side. And we don't have anybody dual desking either. So we've got specialists on both sides of the fence.
Okay, wow. So lots of stuff here. Just looks like you've made a good decision at most corners.
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, it sounds like a really good business. So what's the end goal? Is it to get to a major event? Is there a reason that you haven't taken, you've managed to grow rapidly without investment? Do you get to a point where you go, okay, now to get from 50 to 200 to get to an event, now we need to inject something? Or what does the roadmap look for you in Forsyth Barnes?
Sure. So everybody asks the same question on that. What's the end game? What's the exit plan for us? But neither of us, Raheel and I, don't have an exit plan. We're both still relatively young at the minute, and still 32. Yeah. So still planning on growing this as big as we possibly can do. Global expansion is the key for us. But there isn't a point in time that we're thinking 100, 150, 200 people that we then look to exit via a trade sale or anything like that. It would be great we spoke about our personal development. It would be great to run a listed business at some point. So that's a personal goal of mine. Every advisor, non-exec, and every senior person who's done some really good things of note in the industry has said run 1,000,000 miles from listing a recruitment business. So who knows? That may be in the future, that may not. I think that'd be an interesting challenge dealing with the different dynamics of shareholders personally. But our next stage of growth at the minute, we've put together our back office team now, which is far bigger and stronger than it needs to be for a 40 people business. We've put that team together and collectively named them the FB 100, as in these are the marketeer, the HR specialist, the internal recruiter, the finance specialist, the IT specialist, contractor care manager, etc., to grow us out to becoming a 100 people business.
Fantastic. Okay, let's finish on that. Super impressed by your business. It sounds amazing. Thanks for coming on. Really, really interesting chat. And hopefully we'll get you on again.
Yeah, sounds good. Happy to come on whenever. Thanks for the time.